This program is sponsored by
Hello and welcome back to another edition of Art 1-to-1 Space for Business. I'm your host Shanuka Anish Fernando, and today I'm joined by three very important individuals, one being the CEO and the Director of Modern Learning Studios, Mr. Yasmin Mubarak, and the other being a coach and students coordinator of Lee Mojo's Junior World Public Speaking Competition, Mr. Arshad Rifai. And last but not least, she is also a coach and students coordinator, Miss Daksha Herath. Thank you for being in the show with us today, and also due to the prevailing country situation right now. So I guess the first question goes out to you, Mr. Yasmin. So what is Modern Learning Studios and how is it very different from other public speaking organizations?
All right, so thank you for giving me this opportunity. What is Modern Learning Studio? Right, so Modern Learning Studio is all about the disruptive education. Right, so when it's come to disruptive education, I know, right, everybody is not happy with our current present education system. Everybody is complaining, right? So we have a lot of issues and the complaint. So, but nobody is taking any decision and making change. So everybody is into that typical education system. So that I wanted to change the typical education system. So what is typical education system? So I know, right, so our parents, they want us to be a doctor, engineer, lawyer. That's it. So they put us in some sort of frame or inside the box. So what we have to do is from the beginning, we have to go through, few exams, and we have to attend so many, the classes and blah, blah, I would say, right? So then what we have to do is we are not deciding our future. Who is deciding our future? It is just a half an hour or 1 hour, 2 hour exams. So because I really wanted to change that education system, and I don't know how to change. So I was doing a research. I was in this field more than 13 to 14 years. Actually, I started studying psychology because I wanted to change this education system. So then later on I realized, so no point of talking to governments, no point of talking to, other organizations. So I have to take that step and I have to make that change. So then only I realized I came up with this concept called Modern Learning Studio, where we provide a 21st century skills. So what is 21st century skills? Before that, what we have to do is, first we have to talk about the disruptive. What is disruptive education, right? And also something I know I can remember, right? So one of the best TED talk show by Sir Ken Robinson. He says modern education is killing the creativity. It's killing the creativity. So that's what does it mean, right? So because what we have is, if you are taking a typical classroom, so there are kids, they have unlimited power. But what is typical classroom system is doing is, so basically they are filtering, they are dividing. Whoever can memorize, whoever can communicate, they are the best. So whoever can't, whoever have a creativity, they can't come front of the class and they can't discuss something, they are not capable of fitting to this society. That's what this typical education is doing. So that's why I came up with this Modern Learning Studio and the concept.
So I got to ask you, Mr. Yasmin, now what are the other activities conducted under Modern Learning Studios apart from communicating skills?
All right, so especially, so what are the other skills we are teaching in Modern Learning Studio, right? First thing, we are 100% following 21st century skills concept, right? So when it comes to 21st century skills, mean like we say it's a 4C, and also I have added something called SEL, right? 4C plus SEL. What is 4C? So number 1, critical thinking and problem solving, right? So number 2, creativity. So number 3, communication, and number 4, collaboration. And also, so as I mentioned earlier, SEL, social and emotional learning. So if somebody wants to achieve in this 21st century, they need good communication skills. They have to work with other team. That's what we say, it's a collaboration skills. And also they need the creativity. They need to come up with critical thinking and problem solving. Now everybody is going through this COVID, right? So because of the COVID, right? So if this COVID happened in 90s, so we can't think about these online classes. This is some sort of the disruptive education. This is like, this is apart from the traditional education. So that's what we are thinking about, so that the schools are preparing for exams and the schools are preparing for the masters and the bachelors, not for the life. So there is a huge gap between school system and the university system and the what is actual future. So nobody is preparing for the future, everybody is preparing for the just exams. So that we came up with the public speaking and communication skills to provide them with the communication skills. So then we do have a program like accelerated reading program. The accelerated reading program is all about teaching them to read, just teach them to read. So most of the individual, they can't communicate, they can't come up with good ideas because they are struggling with the reading. It's a simple thing. So what's happening is, so parents are just sending them for the tuition classes. They are sending into spoken English classes. So some sort of you know, academic tuition classes or some sort of program, but which is not helping them because their basic need is reading. They need support with reading. So we have something called accelerated reading program for children, and we do have another program called a Mini-Me 21st Century Learning Program. So what is 21st Century Mini-Me 21st Century Learning Program? It's a preschool, but it is a 21st century preschool, right? We teach all the necessary skills someone wants to achieve in 21st century in our preschool, right? Communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, and 21st century skills, social emotional learning, and also something like coding, entrepreneurship. So we teach them from early childhood. And so we have another program called Total Development Program. The Total Development Program, it says everything, right? If a child need individual attention, individual support, or anything specially for that child's individuality. Some child is going through speech delay, or some child is going through he can't pay attention more than 5 to 10 minutes. What we do is we do assessment, we support them, and we take them to the level where they belongs to, right? So next we have something called iLead Club. The iLead Club is all about, you know, discussing ideas. So what we do is there are a couple of students, they will be joining our club meetings every week, and we will be discussing about the ideas. We will be discussing about, you know, new concept, how we can change the world, how they can make a decision in the future. So it's all about the leaders, right? And we do have something called a virtual preschool, a Mini-Me virtual preschool. So Mini-Me Live virtual preschool is the world's first 100% virtual preschool, right? So we are operating from Sri Lanka, but we have coaches from all over the world, and the kids are from all over the world, right? So what happened here is we are giving 100% individual attention first. Second thing, and also we are teaching 21st century skills plus early childhood framework. So that's because no child left behind. So when somebody is coming to Modern Learning Studio, our concept is no child left behind. And also I believe in something called every child is special and unique, right? So first we need to identify their speciality and the uniqueness. Then we guide them, we teach them, or we coach them, we support them, we take them to the next level. That's what we teach at Modern Learning Studio.
Excellent, Mr. Yasmin. So I got to ask you, as far as my knowledge goes, your organization is the first ever to do the 21st century skills method, right? So how does it feel to be the first ever to do it? I mean, it's supposed to be a major accomplishment, right?
Right. So I would say I feel really excited and happy now. So but I have gone through a lot of challenges. So the reason, everybody's into typical learning and the typical education system, but if you are putting something new to the society, new to the world, it's a bit tricky, right? So because you will get a lot of questions, hundreds and thousands of questions. So why do we need this kind of change? So everybody need some sort of results, but they are not willing to change their lifestyle. So that's why when I started changing when I started establishing this 21st century skill learning programs, and because a lot of the questions and a lot of challenges, and also it took us some time to explain to the audience, I would say our parents, right? But like the parents started realizing so what they really need, because after seeing their kids improvement, they started realizing these things are something very important for kids to excel in this future. So that is the reason, right? So we are growing day by day, because our 100% concept is we want to prepare our children for 21st century. 70% of the job opportunity in another 10 to 30 years, those opportunities are not yet invented, not exist now. So what's going to happen is we are preparing for our children for that 70% of the opportunity. We don't even know about what are the opportunities. Then how are we going to prepare them for just giving the knowledge and the book knowledge, or just preparing them for the exams? So what is something important is the skills. So you have to concern about the skills and building their confidence, and also providing them these 21st century skills.
Excellent statement, Mr. Yasmin. We'll be back with more after these commercials.
This program is sponsored by
Preparing children with 21st century skill, public speaking and communication skills for children, accelerated reading program for kids, total development program for kids, personalized coaching for children, 21st century preschool program, global virtual preschool, speaking, reading and science club for children, Sri Lanka's first ever student-centered learning center, modern learning studio. Join us today.
Welcome back to Art 121 Space for Business. I'm your host Shenuka Anish Fernando. So Mr. Arshad, this next question goes out to you. We see a new project, I would say rather, coming out of your organization, Limojo's Junior World Public Speaking Championship. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's the objective of this competition?
Well, Shenuka, with regards to it, by definition, the Limojo Junior World Public Speaking Championship is an international championship, and I would not actually quote it as a speech competition,
Okay.
which is on contrary to what really happens in the industry today. Normally the competition, when you talk about a competition, and especially in the case of competition that is related to schools, and when it comes to institutions, there is a tendency that a competition is basically driven where a registrant registers with the competition, and eventually what happens, takes part, and then either wins or goes home losing. So when it comes to the Limojo Junior World Public Speaking Championship, it is an international championship which actually provides an opportunity to those who are not only aspiring to become good speakers, but also the fact that all these kids who would want to get into the light, right, and then express themselves, so we'll be giving an opportunity, a platform, and an avenue in order for them to come out and express what they would want to. Because there is a universal problem when it comes to some parents referring to their children as being introverts, right, and they have this problem as to, why is my child an introvert? Why can't I make him speak? And why isn't he expressing in public? Now, when it comes to the public speaking skills, it is not like yet another skill, right? Speaking skills is an important language skill one has to master. So it is unlike, there are parents who happens to say, oh, okay, my child is good with art, my child is good with sports, so my child is good with this and that. So public speaking is not something that is required and not his cup of tea. But I would like to remind that public speaking skills is an important element that one has to master in order to conquer the world, irrespective of what field or what an industry that particular person is in right now. So where it begins is at a tender age. So when your child is young, what happens? Your child goes around expressing, shouting, and making a lot of noise, and you tell your child to keep quiet. And this happens with a statement that follows saying your child is naughty. So this is the point where you are confining your child to a framework which does not allow your child to express, and their form of expressing is by making some noise, and that age, that is their form of communication. at Modern Learning Studio, as rightly quoted by Mr. Yasmin Mubarak, we look at learning from something that is opposite into a conventional way of learning. So something extra, and we look into every child as being special and unique. So as a result of which is why, as I very rightly said before, when it comes to this particular championship, it is not only for those aspiring to become good speakers, but also to each and every child who would want to conquer the world through speech. And especially, it is on a latter date when they step into the corporate world, these skills come into play. Because I myself have been a part of a lot of panels of interviewing, and we have certainly got individual candidates who have good paperwork. I mean, their degrees, their masters, and all of which when it comes to the qualifications. But when it comes to a point where they're supposed to express and tell about what they actually did, they find it difficult. And it's the same with those who are in the corporate world, and they are finding it difficult to make it up the ladder. So their career is hindered. So talking with regards to the Limoges Junior World Public Speaking Championship, it's an international championship for public speaking, and it comes with 3 age categories, which is for 5+, 8+, and 12+. And the range of the age that we're looking forward is from 5 to 15 years. And the special feature of this championship is about the master class that we have, and we'll be elaborating more on that later. And talking with regards to the championship comes with a grand prize for the winner, with the most celebrated title as the Limoges Junior World Public Speaking Champion, with a trophy and USD 1,000 as the cash prize for the winner. And the runner-up will be followed up with a trophy and also USD 500 as the cash prize, and which will be followed by the second runners-up, who will be receiving a cash prize of USD 250. So for those children who happen to be able to mark or seal a place in the world when they are very young, this championship is for you. Because it not only is locally confined, but it's a global event. So you're going to be the face of your nation.
Very well, and excellent, Mr. Arshad. So I got to ask you, what led to the idea of incorporating a master class for the event, which I would say unusual?
Well, Shenika, with regards to the master class, like I told you, it's a special feature that we have incorporated in this championship, and that is the reason as to why I would not prefer calling this a competition, because the moment you call it a competition, it goes to the conventional way of doing competitions back at school. So when it comes to the championship and the master class is a special session, an 8-hour session that is designated to train those registered with the championship to be able to compete better. And not only to compete better, because as I quoted before, it is very important for us to develop skills of those children who would want to become a champion one day in the real world. So the master class is for those who are not only aspiring to become speakers, but also would want to break their barriers and come forth to be able to seal that place that we spoke about. So the master class comprises of an 8-hour session, which is coached by a panel of expert coaches, and also the master class is initiated by a workshop or a couple of workshops that has been organized by some of the world public speaking champions. So these opportunities that we are providing to the child at a very young age. The reason we have the master class, as I told before, it is not only to ensure that the registered participant participates, and then when you win you celebrate, when you lose you go home. This is not a concept that we follow at Modern Learning Studio, and especially in the case of LJWC 2022, because we operate under the intent that either you win or you learn, you don't lose. So this is the idea behind having the master schedule.
Moving words, Mr. Arshad. Now, Ms. Daksha, what would the child benefit from registering with the championship?
Okay, so when you talk about what the child would actually benefit from this, so let me ask you this. So you're here, you're being the host to us, and you're not afraid of the camera. You're not afraid of coming out and speaking.
Not really.
But exactly, but there are a lot of kids who actually have that problem. And like Arshad mentioned, our classes, our master class, we don't focus, we don't want a winner. We want everyone to learn. But we want everyone to be able to present themselves out to the society. So, which is why we have, and another huge advantage would be it's global. It's all around the world. Everyone can join this. It's just not, this specific children should go up the ladder. No, it's not that. Everyone, all the kids around the world should go up the ladder. So I think that's the main purpose and the main advantage that we have here, because this is what we want them to do. We want them to go up the ladder. Not just one, not just two, not just three, but everyone together. We want them to reach that height. So I think that's what it is.
Excellent, Ms. Daksha. We'll be back after these commercials.
This program is sponsored by
Preparing children with 21st century skill. Public speaking and communication skills for children. Accelerated reading program for kids. Total development program for kids. Personalized coaching for children. 21st century preschool program. Global virtual preschool. Speaking, Reading and Science Club for Children. Sri Lanka's first ever student-centered learning center. Modern Learning Studio. Join us today.
And welcome back to Art 121 Space for Business. I'm your host Shanuka Anish Fernando. So Mr. Arshad, this begs the question, how do you register for the championship?
Well, Shanuka, that's a very important question, if I would say. So with regards to registering with the championship, all parents of the kids are expected to go through a process. A process relatively means in here is the fact that now, as we quoted it as a global championship, we wanted to ensure the standard of the internal processes are being well established. So as a result of which, the parents are encouraged to go through the official website of the championship, which is www.juniorSpeakingChampionship.com, and you can find all information related to the championship. So how is it possible is the fact that there is an apply button under each age category. At the very right bottom of the website, you can go to the website and you can apply yourself, and it might take around 7 minutes for you to complete the entire registration form, and the registration form requires some of the documents to be attached as well, because we wanted to restore fairness and equity amongst the participants. So we have to make sure that we deal with the entire registrants on equity and fairness. So we would want the documents such as the birth certificates, the proof of identity, and any other identity proofs that you would like to provide in order to make sure that your child belongs to the said age category. And the age category that we are looking for is as of the 31st of December 2021. And if you visit the website, you will be able to find information pertaining to the deadlines, the dates of importance. So we have an early bird registration deadline and we have a standard registration deadline, but I would invite all parents to be able to take this opportunity to be on a first come first served basis, be able to step into this world of conquering through speech.
Impressive, Mr. Arshad. Now, what about if students from schools want to apply? What's the process for that?
Well, when it comes to applying from schools and institutions as group registrants, it is warmly welcome that you can do so by visiting our website, and also the fact that we will be disseminating this information to all the schools around locally as well as internationally. So if you do take part in the form of a group, and if you register in the form of a group, there will be special concessions on the registration fee, and the registration will also be followed by a consent form that each and every individual will have to sign in order to make sure that they actually abide by the rules and regulations of this championship, as we want to retain and restore this essence of international and global perspective.
Excellent, Mr. Arshad. So, Mr. Yasmin, I got to ask you, how does Modern Learning Studio want to further develop education in the near future?
Right, so I would say the Modern Learning Studio is the future. Right, so we started creating that disruptive education system, and also we started implementing 21st century learning curriculum and the concept to educators, right? So, and also what we do is we have a master class when it's come to teaching and preparing children. So we have weekly sessions are going on, and we do have special program for teachers and students and the parents. And also when it's come to Modern Learning Studios future, right, so we have a certain partners. So I would say the Limojo, we have an online virtual learning platform. So wherever you are, you can learn from home, the comfort of your home, right? So as I told you earlier, we have a virtual preschool, and also we have something called Children's University, right? It's a Children's University concept. It is a virtual platform. Any of your children or kids, they want to learn any skills before they become 15 years. Yes, from home they can apply and learn, because what I see is all the opportunities out there is for adults. If they want to learn some sort of graphic designing technique, or if they learn something related to management or finance or entrepreneurship or agriculture, so all the concepts are designed to adults, right? So who is 16 or 18 or 20 plus. So there is no program specially, right, designed for kids. Now when it's come to a Children's University program, so you can, if any of your children wants to become an astronaut, right, because no schools are going to teach how a child become astronaut, how a child become right, so nanotechnology engineer, how a child can become a automobile engineer, right? So no school is going to teach them, but a child want to be engineer, or he wants to be astronaut, but he can learn a basic from taking part in our program. So we will be teaching them not only the basic, we will be guiding them, we will be monitoring their process and also the progress. And also what we'll do is we will be motivating them, right? So they will be with that right circle. For example, there are a couple of kids, they wanted to become astronaut. What we'll do is we will have that circle, and we will be having the meeting, and we will be giving them that master class for kids concept to them. We will be giving access to them, and they can learn day by day. So that is the concept of a Children's University. So kids can access to anything, and so their future is starting now. Because I don't believe in somebody wants to achieve in the future, so they are just studying, and after they become 20 years only they just started getting to their field. So if they want to achieve and be successful in their future and the career, so we have to start earlier. That is the concept is about Modern Learning Studios Children's University.
Wonderful, Mr. Yasmin. Dear parents, if you want to give your children academic success today, you can contact them on 077 3646 567 or visit them on www.modernlearningstudios.com. And that concludes another episode of today of Art 121 Space for Business.
This program was sponsored by